Path. I'm Laura Donnelly, founder of the Healing Path Conversation Series and Dancing with Ease Body, Brain, Business Balance. People hire me to teach them to move out of pain and into healing. These conversations with friends and colleagues offer many perspectives on healing. The main thing that we have in common is the concept that healing begins inside ourselves with the decision to heal, and it expands outward from there. Today's guest is April Hiatt, and we're going to be talking about staying in alignment with your business values. I think you'll find it really interesting. I'll bring April onto the broadcast. Hey, April.
Hey, Laura.
So good to see you. I'm so glad that you could come on and be a guest and share, because you have a really interesting story about being clear about what you do. And then even though it's been working for 6 years or more, this thing that pulls you, I must do something else. And that decision, the decision you made, that was really more in alignment with who you are. So please share a little bit about your history, how you got to doing the business you do.
Okay, perfect. So I kind of have an interesting story about how I got into designing websites. I've been doing this for about 6 years, but probably about 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. So before I started doing all of this, I had kids at home and they were teenagers. And one of my sons, I only have one son. So my son was struggling with some mental health things. And I just needed some help. I thought, I'm doing the best I can as a mom, and I don't quite know where to go from here and how to help him. And so I started looking, and I did what I think a lot of people do. You just start looking online. And so I started Googling, I started looking at websites, I started looking at Facebook. I just started looking, and I started talking to people, because to me, the best businesses are the ones that are referred by somebody. So I was talking to a friend and she said, hey, you know what? I think I've got the answer for you. I know a company and I've worked with them. My son has worked with them, and I think they're perfect for what you've got going on. And so I said, okay, great. I'm going to go check them out. So I went to their website and I checked them out, and I thought, no way. They just didn't appeal to me, and I didn't get a good feeling. And I don't know. I went online and it just wasn't, I was totally turned off by what I saw. And so I didn't do anything. I didn't call him, and I just kept looking. And I literally just a few days later, I talked to the friend again, and she's like, hey, did you call them? And I said, no, I can't believe you're talking to this company. They just look so weird. I can't get past it. She said, no, I promise you they're what you're looking for. And I said, are you sure? Because I looked them up online and really they weren't what I was looking for. And she said, no, I know their online presence is really bad and it doesn't look good and whatever. She said, but I'm telling you, this has worked for my son. It has done wonders in our house. Just call them. So because of her and her only, I called them, and it turned out they actually were exactly what I was looking for. And my son went through their program and it was perfect. I mean, it was literally everything I was looking for. And so after we had a successful experience, I got to know the owner and I got to know some of the people working there. And I said to them, in casual conversation, I said, hey, you know what? I almost didn't call you. I said, we've had great success here, but I almost didn't call you because your website is so bad. I said, it just doesn't appeal to moms. It doesn't appeal to just what I was looking for and what we were struggling with. It didn't talk to me. And so the owner said, well, actually, you're right. I get that. And he said, how would you like to design our website? Just make a new one. And I went, okay, sure. I've never done that before, right? And he said, yeah, I know. He said, but, I get it. You're smart. He said, but really, you are exactly the mom that we're looking for, because you know what people are looking for. You know what speaks to moms. You know what they're struggling with. And he said, he's like, I can help them. I can help your son once they get here, but I'm not as good talking to the mom. So could you go figure that out? And so I did. I took courses, I took classes. So I got into that. I started with that one, and then his company actually owned about 10 different other programs. And he said, "Hey, could you work with the, directors of those programs and build those?" And anyway, so it just expanded from there, and then I got referrals, and I thought, I really like this, and I just enjoy connecting with people and helping them, like, help other people. Like, I knew where I was as a mom, and I wanted to find the answers, and I thought, I know there are more people out there like that. So let's get you looking like that online. And so 6 years later, here I am. I've been doing it full time, like I said, for the last 6 years. And anyway, but a big thing is staying, and I know we'll talk about this too, Laura, but it's staying in a, like, telling people who you are and being online authentic with your business and what you do and who you are and getting there. And anyway, I'll let you ask me some more questions because I know we're going to talk about that.
Well, it's just really a wonderful story of evolution. You weren't searching, I need to make a business. What do people need? You discovered what this guy needed.
Right.
And he actually also knew what he needed when you told him the story. And actually he was quite courageous to just say, redo this for me, please.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, he was exactly right because you were the person that he's trying to connect with. Be- and it's a different business that's connecting to the parent who is going to buy the service for their kid. This is different than connecting uh, me to something that I'm going to buy. That's my decision. But this was it's a different layer of communication,
Right.
which is, and I just love how when you follow your energy, which is about being in alignment, how things grow
Absolutely.
and how they grow quite naturally. And other people would have said, "Oh, well, no way you can start a business without knowing X, Y, and Z." And maybe they couldn't. Okay? Maybe they couldn't.
Mhm.
But that was exactly the way for you to start and grow organically. And so that's another piece of what I think we're going to share today about staying in alignment with your business values is sometimes we don't know something's not in alignment till we do it.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that moved me quite off center. I don't, but it seemed like a good idea.
Right.
So, and it seems to me like that was also really organic growth. He really liked the website you made for him. Then he had other people, he referred you, and it could grow. I'm going to put your website up so that anybody who wants to check it out can see that you have your own website.
Of
And
course, I couldn't
of
have a
course,
website business without a website.
well, that would be really, except that you started it without a website, right?
You know what? You're right. I did. I went the first 2 years building websites for other people before I actually built my own because I was so busy doing that, that you're right. I didn't have time to do my own. So yeah, you can start without all of this stuff. I mean, I teach people how to do all of the things or how to build all of it, but like you said, if you're on a path and it's the right one and it feels good to you, things will fall into place. You'll start getting clients, you'll start getting, referrals, and you just go with it. Like, just keep going. Don't stop just because you don't have something you think you need to have. Just stay on the path that's working for you and just keep going. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people, I know a lot of people who don't start doing their work because they don't have the website. I mean, even
Right.
I fell into this summer. Um, I I wrote a book. It was a bestseller, and I wanted a book page on my website before
Of
I
course. Makes
promoted
sense.
the book.
In our heads. Yeah.
But I did the book before, and then I realized all the people that I have talked to who have read it, it's because I talked to them. It's not because I said, "Hey, go look at my website and see
Right.
about this book." It's I said, "Hey, and so then I laugh at myself. I said, Laura, you must have just wanted not to go too fast, so you put this roadblock here." And the same thing is true I think when it's also, I don't know how you feel about this, but
We're going to find out.
until you do what you do a little bit, I don't think you know how to talk about what you do in an effective way.
I
Even
agree.
me with my business, my website has evolved over time as I've become more and more clear about what I do. By the time you did your website 2 years into your business, you knew what you were helping people do. They told you, "Oh, this is so great. You helped me clarify this piece of information. You helped me connect to the people I really," and then you can use all that material.
Right.
Now, other people, they may come out of some place where they have all of this stuff produced and they can just start. That would be their path. So again, I think the deal of staying in alignment, it's in alignment with your business and in alignment with your business values. It's what I tell
Correct.
people is that your business is growing. It's a thing, like a kid. It has stages. It goes through the terrible twos.
It does. For sure.
And it's not running, my business is not running my life, but I am also listening to my business. I'm not running my business. And that's for me one of my business values. And it can seem a little backwards to some people, but the thing I wanted to share with you to share about your story, which I just the whole getting an idea that came from the outside, not the inside, and going forward and having success. And then I wrote in our little description, and then
Yeah. And then, so yeah, so a couple of things that you said, and then I'll go forward with the rest of that story. But one of the things that you said is that keeping your business in alignment with your values, and you can't separate those because y- y- the values that you have, that you stand for, that are important to you, you have to bring those into your business, because otherwise your business becomes something that you're not, and then it's not authentic, and then you don't like doing it anymore, and then it doesn't feel good, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. But if you stick to your core and the things that are important to you and carry those through into your business, then things just fall into place. They just work. And so, yeah, here's the funny story about that. And it's not real. Well, I can laugh now. It's funny, but at the time it wasn't so funny. But I know that, like, I'm a person. I have values. I have integrity. I have, whatever. And I know that in my head. But we all do things in our business trying to grow that that somebody tells us to do. So I'm listening to all the gurus. I attend, I listen to podcasts, I attend workshops, I do whatever. And it seems, and I'm using everybody I know it's a huge generic word, but it seems like all the gurus and everybody out there says, you have to be on all the social media channels, and you have to do Instagram, and you have to do Facebook, and you have to do all of these things. And so, and I'm on Facebook, I'm in Facebook groups and stuff, but I hadn't done a whole lot else. I'd been working solely on referrals for a long, long time, and that's worked really well for me. I just, like you said, grown my business organically, and that's worked well. But then I started listening to the experts that were saying, you've got to be on Instagram, you've got to do this stuff. And so I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I don't really like Instagram. I have nothing against Instagram. It's just not a place that I spend any time on, literally no time at all on. But I thought, I'm going to do it. So I spent months just focusing on Instagram, spending time in it, posting on there, doing stuff. I hired somebody to help me. I was there all the time, and I built up this huge thing. And but in the meantime, I kind of was like, I don't know, feeling a little stressed or anxious in my life, but I just overlooked it because I was putting all of my time into Instagram and, whatever, going forward, building that. And it was fairly successful for me. And then Instagram a few weeks ago had this little glitch and everybody had to go back in. I don't know about everybody, lots of people I heard. They had to go back in and re-verify their accounts and do all the things. And I did all the things. I verified my account. I sent in the codes. I sent in they send you those authentication codes. You got to tell them. I sent in a new photo. I did all the things. Then I went to bed one night and the next night I woke up and my whole account was gone. They just deleted me. Everything was gone. I can't get it back. There's no record. It is literally gone. And so I had a little email that said, sorry, your account's been deleted. Nothing we can do. Good luck. And I was like, are you kidding me? So then I hit even like a reply to the email I got, and it says, no reply email. You can't even contact us. And I thought, what the heck? Seriously? So it's interesting because after being mad for a little while, because, I'd spent all this time on it. But it's funny because after I got past that, I was like, oh, okay, now I can just go back to doing what I was doing. I can, I don't know. It was like a whole load was off of my shoulders. I didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Here's what I think is so interesting too, is that when you went back into the story and you were busy and you were kind of anxious and your whole voice changed. And when you got
Really?
to the part,
You
yes,
can hear
no,
it.
it's just amazing. Well, because the tension in our system, when we do something out of alignment, this creates excess tension, but it creeps up and we don't know it. We don't realize it because it's so gradual. And that excess tension rolls over into everything we do. And when you got to the part of the story where, when I got over that, I just felt this big relief. Your whole self changed.
I know I can feel it in myself just talking about it. Makes me anxious.
And so this is one of the things that is a big sign for anybody that if we get out of alignment, things don't feel right. And to be aware, and you were doing all the right things and you were getting really good reinforcement. You were getting people who were
Mhm.
saying, friends, likes, followers, whatever that thing is, you were getting that. And it was really awesome. You were doing all the steps and they were paying off. That's
Right.
really a big trick in alignment. When we're getting the gold stars, we don't realize we are out of alignment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
It's like an adrenaline rush you get for a while. But after a while, you crash. The adrenaline rush only lasts so long. And then there's a crash. Maybe I should say a sugar rush. I know way more about a sugar rush than an adrenaline rush, but it's the same idea. You're like, you have that high for a while and then it's just like a crash. You're like, oh man.
when we talked before, I think that you shared with me that although the Instagram was going well, you weren't doing some of the things that you like to do in your business, that you didn't have all of the energy that you have now to
Right.
put into the things that you enjoy doing.
Right. Yeah, I was spending so much time doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing that I actually wasn't doing the things that had been working for me before. And I wasn't getting the projects done that I really should have been working on for clients and for, customers and, stuff like that. And so once that was gone, it was amazing how much more time and energy I had during the day to focus and actually get the stuff done that had been working for me for 6 years. Why did I change it? Like, it's working. Yeah, you can improve things, but don't drastically change it if it's already working. So, yes, luckily I'm back to now I can do the stuff that I know works.
And sometimes that's how we have to learn. You
Right.
know, we have to go down a path. We're exploring. here's what I fall for this every time. I really like learning new things.
I'm with you there.
And I can, as long as I'm learning something new, I'm dived into this thing and I'm not really paying attention, that I'm spending so much time learning something that's out of my zone of excellence, that I'm not doing some of the things that I need to do, even the things I like to do. But I get caught up in the energy of learning.
Mhm.
So this is one of the well, I would tell you, like, warning signs for myself. And to take a little pause and evaluate. Am I just having fun with this because I'm learning something I don't know anything about and it's very interesting? Or am I really moving my business forward in a way that's authentic to me? And well, we talked about that too. There's little pointing fingers on Instagram. It's like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because the gal that I had helping me do Instagram, she's like, "You need to make a video." And you know those little videos where they're like, and I was like, "No, no." I mean, at least I stood my ground there. I thought, "No, that is so not me, not doing that." But yeah.
And and it totally might be somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But if you like, what do I have? What I have, I have a like a kind of like a little compression feeling.
Right.
That's a big sign for me that that's not a good thing for me to do.
Right.
Whether it's sending an email, a cold email to somebody. Sometimes I meet people and I'm like, "Ah, I'm gonna write to that person. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna write to that person other times I see somebody cool online and I'm like, oh dude, I loved your article that you wrote on LinkedIn. I loved your I went to your website and we have a lot of things in common. I would love to connect with you and stuff. And I just kind of do that. When it's easy, when it feels expansive and nice, it's the right thing to do. When I feel like I'm pushing, you know, like in order to get something done, I have to make a schedule and I have to cheat, 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 cheat. Then not so good for me.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things about starting a business is you often don't know where to start. And so you'll turn to all of these outside sources. But I really think that it's important to trust your gut and trust the way that you're feeling. If something doesn't connect with you, just because somebody said it doesn't mean you have to do it. And so you're going to get like bombarded, especially when you're starting out with all of these different thoughts and ideas. And everybody tells you a different way of doing stuff. And you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you got to buy this, and you got to buy this. If it doesn't feel right to you, stick with that. Be confident in your own intuition and your own thoughts and your own abilities to receive. I mean, I call it revelation, but whatever is your own I'm just going to use the word revelation, but receive your own revelation for yourself and be confident in that and just go with that. If it doesn't connect with you, don't do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. This is your business. Do what feels good to you and then, go from there. And yeah, you can add little things along the way, but you don't have to do every single thing that somebody tells you to do because it's not going to serve you. It just isn't.
Yeah. Yes, I agree 100%. I really agree. And that that alignment is a physical feeling in the
Oh,
body.
absolutely. Yeah.
What you were talking about. And and we saw it when you were talking about Instagram and when Instagram was gone. And who would want their work and their time to just disappear? Nobody.
Mm-mm.
Nobody would want that
Not
to
fun.
happen. And even the memory of it's not fun. But where you got to from that, forced interruption, you did some reflection and you did, you listened to your gut and you said, well, okay, do I remember one of the key things you said to me, do I want to work with this platform based on the way they treat people, their customers, their main people?
Right.
Is are their values in alignment with my values? And if not, why am I supporting them? And so we're not buying ads, we're not doing all that stuff. Okay, so we're not buying ads on their platform, all right. But we are bringing our people to their platform so that they see other things. I mean, all the people who use any of these social media platforms, we are the business collateral for that
Right.
platform.
Right.
And if that platform has values that, well, see, now I'm going to have to get off of Facebook. I've been,
And it's hard to differentiate because I mean, you're like me, you're thinking, okay, I'm not sure I agree with everything that Facebook does or the company, because Facebook owns Instagram and all of that stuff. However, I do value some of the groups that I'm in and the people that are there and the connections that I've made with them and how I'm able to connect with those people. So I value that part of the platform. And so it's trying to line that up and come to terms with, okay, how do I not support them, but still be a part of them and use it to my advantage and what works for me in my personal life and in my business, and then be okay with whatever I'm going to come up with and how that's going to work.
right. And see, and again, you went back to the people, the human to human
Right.
connection. And even we met through a group on Facebook.
Right.
And it was just really, fun. A good group. Let me see. Helping entrepreneurs save precious
Mhm.
time, maybe?
Yes.
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 And and useful information in the group. Nice people, of course, nice people.
Right.
Um, my screen is backwards, so the nice people are over here. Um,
Or
but
nice people.
and so yes, I value that. I value the human connections I have made, and so where to find the balance, and it is a balance, and it's not the
It
same. I
is.
mean, Instagram is different than it used to be.
It is. And so is
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, as is Facebook. And um and so what I would there's so many things. We had such a good talk. Like all the things. I'm going to go back to that, and then I'm going to go back to social media. You were talking about, you do this, do that, do this, you want to start your business and that. And I kind of just have people like keep a list of everything I could do.
Smart.
Just write it down so you don't lose it, because you have some great ideas.
Right.
I could do a Facebook live series. A Facebook live series, yes, you could do that. Do you have to? Maybe. Maybe, but do you have to? Maybe not.
Right.
But you don't have to freak out of that losing it. So you have it all cataloged.
Right.
And then I suggest, like, what do I need? What does my business need to grow? And then looking at the list, and then intuitively you will have that revelation, I need to start here.
Right.
And you will have the energy to do it. You will, if you don't know all the steps, like you didn't know all the steps for the website, but that
Right.
must have sounded like really interesting to you when he suggested that. That's-
Yeah, most people would have went, no, and ran away. Not me. I was like, yep, please. I would love to do that.
well, and it sent you on a learning path, and it
It
opened up
did.
all kinds of new avenues, but you knew, you had that feeling. I also equate it to like when you hit a gong, and then the sound reverberates through you. That's that for
Um,
me, a kind
yeah.
of feeling that allows me to know, oh, that's a good direction for me. That's a good first step.
Right.
And so those are really and the other thing is, when you're looking for information and all that is coming at you from so many different sources, it's sometimes really hard
It
to
is.
have the space and quietness
Right.
to hear, listen, feel that moment of true alignment.
Right. Yeah, and
Because
sometimes just oh, no, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, no, you can go.
Oh, I was gonna say, and sometimes just saying it out loud to somebody else will help you get that alignment and figure out what the most important things are. And I mean, I'm one of those. I'm like, I do what you do. Like, I have a bunch of ideas, I write them all down. But then as I talk through them with somebody, I process it as I'm talking through it. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Or, you know what? I think I'm going to wait on that one for a little while. And it's like as you're talking through it, your body and mind can feel it. And you just know, maybe you don't know for sure, but you think, this is the path I'm going to try. And you try it. And kind of like I did with Instagram, you try it. And then I was forced to stop. But you see how it goes. It's like you're testing it a little bit. You test the waters because you may not know exactly where to go, but you got to go somewhere. So just start moving and then and then maybe reflect a little bit. Is this really feeling good? How do I feel? Where am I going? Is this working? And then take the next step and move forward with it. But you got to process it at some point, whatever works best for you too.
Yeah. And I was going to say that that inner knowing is it's always there,
It is.
but we sometimes ignore it.
Right.
And that's okay too. As I tell people, that's okay. You're going to learn something.
Right.
And like we talked about, you had all these graphics that you made because you made them, you have them.
Right. I'll just use them somewhere else.
And that's another thing that I think is important, especially when we decide, oh well, I spent 2 years on this and it was worthless. No, it wasn't worthless.
Right. That's true. I learned a lot.
Yeah, and even if what you learned is, I'm going to remember to test the alignment on any new idea,
And I did learn that. So, yeah.
then that's a really important anchoring decision for how you grow your business going forward. So, so that's another thing about, I was going to say, and it ties in perfectly and you might have your own strategies that you want to share, but for social media platforms, I test them, you know, how do I feel about this? How do I feel when I'm spending time on that platform, reading content? Is the content interesting? Is it thoughtful? Does it make me frustrated or angry? Whatever. I pay attention to that before I decide to invest in that platform, even in terms of time.
Right.
And somebody I had worked with before, that one of the things they said is you're going to hear, you have to be on every social media platform, but you can pick the ones you like and then be effective there. And that
Correct.
that is more reasonable, I think, more reasonable, because otherwise, shoot, I mean, we can't do everything. I mean, that
Right.
is the truth.
Right.
And for me, for Instagram, I was so sad. I was just like, I had just gotten like an idea of how to deal with, like, photo posts and making really pretty photos. And
Mm,
I was thinking I could do a lot of things with my photos on Instagram. And then they went to video and I'm like, and just that change was enough to make me not do very much there.
right.
Because I'm like, well, they were this other thing, and this other thing, I had a way that was authentic for my work to show up there.
Right.
But now this other way, not so in alignment with who I am. It's not that I can't do this stuff. That's the other thing. One of my Sutha Joth, oh, I can't say her name. I'll put it in the comments. She told me this: just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Yes, that has been my phrase. Like each year I have a word and I have a phrase. And that actually was my phrase this year is April. just because you can do it doesn't mean you need to do it, and it doesn't mean you have to do it. And so, yeah, that has been one of my guiding principles this year is, and I literally will stop and tell myself that, like in my head, I'm like, April, just because I really have that whole conversation in my head. And I've turned down a lot of things that I just thought, yeah, I could do that, but do I want to? And does that fit in with my business goals and what I'm trying to accomplish? No, it doesn't. So, you know what? No thanks. And oh, what a difference that has made. It's been huge.
It's really freeing because it allows you to stay in alignment. Many
Right.
things we can do are not very far off of, true north for us.
Right.
Not very far, reasonable. I could do this in 3 weeks. I could have the money and it would be great and blah, blah. And what falls into the behind behind? I didn't stay on top of this. I didn't stay on top of that. I didn't get this done. I didn't get that done because this wasn't really in alignment for me. When I am focusing in my bandwidth of alignment, I can juggle a lot of things. I can get from one thing to the next and the next thing, and it flows really nicely. It's not a flow other people would like. It's not a way that would work for everybody. But when I do one of these things that is just outside of my path, right? Just next, just right over here, just right over here is
Right.
enough to unsettle the balance. And I kind of need to like, okay, wait, I'm back. I'm back. Maybe I don't need to do that again. And okay, there's something attractive about that. So now that's what I need to look at next is what's attractive about that when I know that this being being in my alignment is so joyful. It's like how you were like, "Ah, I have time to do these things I really like to do."
Right. Yeah.
And so in terms of one more tip for people, what would you
So,
suggest?
okay. Well, my tip is I mean, I'm a website person. So I just think that as you're growing your business, make sure that it's true to you. And when you build your website, also make sure that that's true to you and your business too. I have a student I have a course right now that's building websites, but I have a student in there, and she has said to me multiple times, she said, you know what, April, I had hired somebody to build a website for me and they did all these things. She said, but it wasn't me. She said, at the end of the day, it was glitzy and it was, like high tech and just all these things. She said, but it didn't feel good to me or my business or what I wanted to do. And she said, and I just ditched the whole thing. She goes, and I spent a lot of money on that. And she said, and now I'm taking the course so I can build what I want to do and what reflects my business and who I am and all of those things. So just as you're going through in your business, I think just stay true to you. I mean, and that's, I teach a lot about branding too, but my number one thing that I teach is decide who you are. And it's not even a decision. You know who you are. Just stick with that and put that person out there in the world. Don't be somebody else online or somebody else on your website or somebody else, out there. Just be you. And one of the things, Laura, I told you that I loved about your website when I went and saw it was that there's a video of you on there and it's so you. Like I watched the video and then I met you and I was like, it's the exact same person. I know who I'm talking to. I know who I'm meeting. I just felt like I knew you before I ever met you, simply because you were the same person on your website and online as you are here and as you are in your personal life, just everywhere you're the same person. And I think that's so important for people to do.
Thank you. That's and you know what? It took me a long time to get there. And
Right.
and some of it was long inside. Am I really going to show people my crazy stuff in the background?
Right.
Am am I really going to show up with my hair curly today and straight tomorrow? And yes. And the other was, how do I share this effectively? And partly from talking to people, and like you said, doing workshops, and um, I have a couple of things from your website that are very helpful in terms of framing and thinking about what to do, and then taking time. And then what I tell people, it's digital. If you don't like it, it's just zeros and ones, and you can push the buttons and
Change
change it.
it. Yes, and that's the nice thing about just having an online business of any kind. It's gonna take you a little bit of time to kinda tweak it and figure it out. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years and my website changes probably, oh, I don't know, every couple of months. I make changes to it, I make updates to it, I do something. It's okay to tweak things a little bit and make changes. You are going to change. So, of course, your business is going to change right along with you. As you evolve, so will your business. And that's okay. In fact, that's perfect. That's the way it should be.
I love it, and that stays in alignment, and it keeps you from that thing we just talked about. This old thing was successful, and but I'm a new person, and I can keep doing the old thing, but that's no longer in alignment with who I am.
Right.
And so I just had so much fun talking to you.
It was awesome. So Laura and I had been, I don't know if your listeners know, but we knew each other just through emails and her video online and like social media, but we'd never met until like this way. Well, met, online, how you meet today, but met visually, like talking to each other until a few weeks ago. But it was so fun because I felt like I already knew you. I already knew who you were, and you'd read some of my emails and stuff, and I'm and I try to sound exactly the same there as I sound here, and so hopefully I was the same person. I know where you were, so it was awesome.
It was really awesome, and I think you had asked a question, and I just wrote back. Uh,
Yes, yes.
and that's one of the things I learned about myself is I'm really good at responding. I get very fatigued from initiating all the time. But if
Right,
somebody asks a question, I am happy to answer because I am happy to help. And
right.
so, but then you wrote back, and then I wrote back, and it was, yes, it was just joyful and fun. And I'm so glad you could come and share your work and share the importance of alignment in life and business, because especially when we are a small business, we are embedded in our business, and our business is growing out of who we are.
Yeah,
So
and I truly believe that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I build websites all day, but I truly believe you have to be in alignment with yourself and your values and the core things that are important to you. Stick to those and don't let anybody tell you to do anything different.
that's it. That's it. Well, thank you so much, April. I really appreciate your time and all of your e- experience, and also your joy. It's just so fun. So thank
Thanks.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.